Welcome along to another Zoom for the Ardra GA Club celebrating 100 years. And believe it or not, the birthday is tomorrow, Thursday, the 21st of October. And the club was formed on Thursday, the 21st of October, 1921, which is exactly 100 years tomorrow.
Tomorrow, oh God.
The club was about, I was figuring out, Eddie, about 17 or 18 years old when the club was, when you were born, yourself and James. I'm joined by Eddie Doherty, of course, from Ardra. I better explain that first. James Keeney, my brother James. Eddie, of course, well known in the whole Ardra scene for years and years. Famous for his tweed now, and just Eddie, to prove we're trying to support you in other parts of the world. There's me Eddie Doherty. That came out of Belfast, believe it or not. So we're chatting away about you up there in Bangor and places like that. I love to hear that when I'm up there. Do you know Eddie Doherty? So you're famous. And we'll chat a bit more about that. And then James Keeney, my brother. James lives now in Letterkenny. Eddie's in Ardra, and I'm in Lifford at the moment. And James emigrated quite early on, and has been in England and Dubai and all places like that for a number of years. But we'll talk more about that later on. The fact is that the club is celebrating 100 years, and there's been a number of Zoom meetings. I've done one myself with John McConnell and Patsy Keeney earlier on, and this one was left to me to talk to these two stalwarts here. And of course, I do remember them playing, and I've played alongside James anyway, and I can't just recall whether I ever had a match with you, Eddie, or not. But as I said there, the club was about 17 or 18 years old when you were born, and then both of you are in the late 30s, isn't that right?
That's right. That's
just when you were born. So
both in the late 30s.
You're both, what would you describe as war children in a way? Because
that's correct. Yeah.
The war started in 1839, and it lasted till actually September, 1st of September, and it lasted until 1945, the 1st or 2nd of September. And was that a reason for you being in Ardra, Eddie?
That's the reason, yeah. I was born in the end of the 30s, and we came here in 1940s as young. I was just able to walk, and that was it. The brother, Patsy.
Yeah.
And my father came from Ardra, you see, my mother came from Belfast.
Yeah.
So that was the way. Patsy was taken back in 45, and I was left here in Ardra.
You were doing a job. So you're actually born in Belfast, both of you.
Born in Belfast, aye. Yeah.
So you liked Ardra that well, you stayed.
Oh Jesus, the best. I was the best option of the two. Maybe I hadn't an option, but
yeah.
that wouldn't let me back, and let one of us go.
Yeah. So what would be your earliest memories of Ardra and football, Eddie?
Oh, they're talking there about the end of the 40s. What you looked up to these big fellas playing football.
Yeah.
Like of Packie Keeney.
Right.
Frankie Brennan, Harry O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Those namely boys. Danny Boyle was the goalkeeper in that time. Danny Boyle. He lived in the front street right beside us.
Is that right?
Yeah, just up there, just under the church.
Aye.
And Danny went away to England. He had a drink problem as well, and he fell down the steps and was killed.
Oh, the poor fella. Yeah.
He played in the county team. He played in the goal for the county
as well. God, he was good. Aye. So that was a great era in Ardra football. There were some great players, and they won the county championship. Was it around? Was it 30?
Well, the end of the 30s. The end of the 30s, yeah. Now I can remember a game between our and Glenties, and it was a cricket score. Harry O'Donnell's full back. You can always remember it as the funniest thing had happened. Danny Boyle was in the goals.
Yeah.
And I would be leading maybe about 6, 17, or 18 points at that stage. And next thing, Harry got the ball and he let fly it. Danny, here, save that. And he says, Danny threw himself away. He didn't save it, all right. He knocked it
So the 4-1 for the opposition.
The only time I've ever seen that been done.
Aye,
Yeah.
So James, sorry, Eddie.
I can remember Frankie Byrne, Harry O'Donnell, and Packie Horsky being taken away. They were playing for the county at that time. Yeah. Danny didn't travel with that game, and the three of them played on the county team. And there was Packie got a bad cut on the top of the head. That's what it was. That game, you could see him had photographs of him with a bandage and all on the head.
11-6. But he was a fine big man, Packie Horsky.
Oh, he's a big strong man. Big strong man.
Yeah, he must have
Funny then would have been kind of more or less finished at that stage.
Yeah.
Vanny was a great player.
Aye, so I believe. Yeah.
Aye. I remember a game in Ballybofey between our and Gweedore. And Gweedore won in the game, but there were a bit of a scuffle on.
Right. And
Packie was hot-headed like at that time. Jesus said, the next thing, Packie got the ball and the row was on, and Packie sat on the ball and he wouldn't get up off it. And the not one would get him up off it. It was down in the lower end.
Yeah.
At the rubber side.
Yeah.
And after a bit of a scuffle, 5 or 6 of them over to try and get him off it, and Packie caught the ball and kicked it into the river. It was at the end. There was only 1 or 2 gate balls that time. The other one was in the river.
Lucky to one.
The other one was in the river at that stage.
That was them.
That's something to remember about. Like,
That's the end of the game.
We got beat at the same time.
Did you by any chance see Tom Gallagher playing? Tom of the Wooden Bridge?
No.
Before your time?
No, before me. No, I think he would have been in the 20s. I think Tom would have been the Frankie was the only one that I played with. Frankie.
Yeah, you would.
And I played against him too. He was playing in Kilcar. He played for Kilcar there for a lot of years.
And then did he play for Killybegs at the stage as well?
He played for Killybegs then as well. But Killybegs hadn't a team that time, so he played for Kilcar. Very
good.
Yeah.
Well, James, I wanted to talk to you for a minute about.
James.
I will get him a word on here, Eddie.
It's funny, just on that same theme, that Eddie's just talking about. I was just thinking the other day that my very first football match that I went to was in 1948 in Donegal town, where you played. It was the 15th of August, and our John was with me, my younger brother. And it was Ballyshannon were playing Ardra in a crunch match.
Yes.
And the game was, Big Mick Melly was playing fullback at the time. And the funny thing, I'll just give you the line out of the team, Eddie. I just wrote it down when I was looking through the paper. Paddy McGill, Big Paddy, our old teacher, recorded the match on the 15th of August, 1948. And I happened to recognize the fact because it was the big day in Donegal town, the AOH day. That's why we were there. And Frankie Brennan was in goals that day, must have been only about 18. And Tommy Boyle and Packie Waters and Phil McHugh were the 3 fullbacks. And the half-back line was Eddie O'Sullivan. I don't know if you've heard of him. Danny Maloney centre half, and Michael Boyle was left half.
Left half.
Willie Boyle and Winston Boyle, they must have been 2 yarn fellas.
They were 2 yarn men. Sullivan was as well at the time.
So them 2 lads were playing midfield.
Yeah.
James Mooney. Who was James Mooney? Jim Mooney, James Mooney and Big Paddy McGill and Harry O'Donnell were the half forwards.
Harry O'Donnell, yeah.
And John Gillespie, the boat now man.
That's right. Yeah,
Mackie Moore was full forward, and Michael Gallagher. He must have been another.
Mickey Gallagher
from down there.
doing
And what I
yarn.
remember about it was
Yeah.
Harry O'Donnell came down on the last couple of minutes of the match. It was ding dong. They were neck and neck the whole way through.
Yeah.
And the player and the football, all the spectators were standing along the line at that time, and there was no scoreboard.
Oh, it's good.
And
Sure,
Harry
yeah.
came down to take a sideline kick about 35 yards out, left-hand side of the goals, and the packed crowd that were standing there. He ran out to take the free in, and he asked somebody, "What's the score?" And this fella says to him, "You're a point behind." I always remember that we're standing there, a wee fella.
Yeah, yeah.
And Harry went back a point behind, you know. So Harry went back and to hit this ball. And he could hardly see the goal, but the crowd was standing to his left,
The
you know.
crowd standing there.
And I never saw anything like it, Eddie. I'm not kidding you. He hit that ball like it went on and it hung in the air, seeming like for about 5 minutes, you know. It hovered over the top. All Ballyshannon had everybody in.
Yeah.
The fact at the time was the two teams were actually level when he hit that ball. Harry didn't know that.
Yeah.
He thought he had to score it in order to draw level. But this ball crept over their heads, it just dropped over the bar inside the post.
Into the goals.
Ardran went mad. We were a point up, actually, they won the match.
Won the match.
Ballyshannon protested the following week, and it protested about Wooly Boyle and Winston Boyle.
Yes.
Sorry, lads. And I've lost the picture now.
Have you? Oh, we can still see you. Carry on.
Yeah. But
Put your button there. It'll probably come back up.
yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, the Harry O'Donnell won the match for them that day. Big Paddy recorded it that they won by a point.
Yeah.
But they actually protested, and they protested about Wooly Boyle. They said Wooly Boyle was already playing for a team in Dublin.
Yes.
And they said that Vincent Boyle was seen with the Antrim team.
He was a brother John
And they got the actual protest through, and Ardra lost the match.
Oh.
Ballyshannon went on to play in the semi-final against St. Eunice, but they did get beat the second day.
They got beaten. The Vincent Boyle was a brother Joe Napper in their yarn golf course. Yeah.
He was legal enough.
Aye. Oh, these protests going on.
That's the one thing there, our book, you know, their fellow was public. You know, the amount of protesting that went on in those days. I used to have a friend one time, he says, in those days is the GAA lawyers came out.
The GAA lawyers.
And protest after protest after protest, you know.
Oh, Jesus, nothing protest.
That's right.
They would fight with the weirdest thing.
The weirdest thing was used in those days. I'd won the game. And I had their share of them way back then too.
Yeah, they did.
James, when did you start with Ardra, James? How did you get introduced to the club? And John used to run sports in Glendone, but I don't know where. How
well, the way I got in, I was 15 and a half, I suppose, juvenile team.
Yeah.
Juvenile team.
That was 1953. We had a good juvenile team. Eddie, I think you were on that, or were
I was. I suppose I wouldn't have been on it at that stage. Only the college boys all went away.
Huey was playing fullback. God rest Huey.
That's right. That's right.
I just want to mention Huey there. And Huey was fullback. I was in goals.
You were in the goals.
Yeah, Johnny Connors, we called him McGill, and I think James was on that. James McGinn.
I have a photograph of that team, James.
Right. Now, not many have a photograph.
I have a photograph of that team.
And we went right. Huey McCabe was playing. Huey O'Donnell was on it. Huey McCabe was the bankers. His dad was the banker.
They weren't there for the final, James.
You're exactly right. You have the story. Because we went all the way through to the final, and we met St. Eunice in the final.
That's right.
And I think I had a clean slate, would you believe?
You had a clean
slate. To be clean slate for the whole
8 points to 0.
You know what happened in the final? All the boys, all our 6 forwards went back to college.
They did. They did.
That's how it was.
That's
And
why
at
we were
that
brought
time,
in.
you
We were
see,
underage.
they didn't
We
let
were-
you out of college then.
We wouldn't get on
Even the
it.
St. Eunice lads couldn't go down to buy a bar of chocolate, you know.
Yeah.
It was bad. So they didn't let you out of college. And
No,
we had to put all the subs on,
that's
you
right.
know.
That's
the
why
young
we
fellas
got on.
only
That's why
14.
I was one of the ones.
And
that
John
run the
Hannigan, you know, John Hannigan was one of the players, and
He was the
James
best player in the
Larkin
field.
and O'Donnell, you know, they were all great players.
Hughie
All
McCabe was a
county
great
county
player.
players.
Aye.
And
Hughie McCabe and Hugh
they
Donnelly.
won the match, but they only scored a goal and 3 points against the backs. We had a great back line.
That's right. They won it 8-0. They won the game 8-0.
We only had we didn't score at all. I think our 6 forwards managed to just get an odd ball, but they never got past. And we lost the match. But I was looking at the score, funny thing, I was doing a check on all the newspapers one time for some item I was doing for the church over there.
Aye.
And it turns out that they only scored a goal and 3 points against us. We no score. That was the final.
That's
But then
right.
I kind of went on then to play the minors and the goals the following year.
You're in goals, yeah.
And you were coming up for that now. There was when I was in 54 goals, it was the same thing. You were coming behind us there. You
Aye.
might have been on. You were in the panel that year, Eddie, I would say.
On 53.
And 54.
54.
54. Raymond
That's the
Brennan was
minors.
playing.
No,
He
I
was a wee
wasn't
bit older than
that
you.
year,
Yeah,
no.
absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
That was up in Ballyshannon. The final was played.
It was. No, oddly enough, you're thinking of there was a match played. We did play a final there, all right, a junior final. But we played the 54 final, would you believe, in Glenties.
Yeah.
And it was the famous day when they had no nets on the goals. And Castlefinn were trying to claim that one of their points went onto the bar.
Yeah.
And Hughie Bennett and I knew it didn't go onto the bar. They nearly went onto the bar in the last minute of the game. They came up to get an equalizer. They actually were 2 points ahead.
Yeah.
And they came in with a terrific raid. About a minute, and it rained the whole day too. And they came in the last 2 minutes of the match, and they said, the flyer in, and Hughie was out to the side, missed it. And I thought, nobody's going for this ball, I'd rather have a go. And I managed to get it on my chest, and I took it out. And Hughie, I passed it to Hughie, and Hughie got a scramble over the line.
Of course.
We won the match. But a lot of people at that time, there were a couple of sort of tried protest, but there was nothing they could protest about. The game was fair and square that time.
With the game.
We won it fair and
That was
square.
54, James.
It was the 54 game, Eddie. It was the 1954 final.
And who's the final? Who won it? You won it.
We won it that day. We were playing Castlefinn in the minor final that year, and we won it.
Yeah.
We lost the 53 juvenile, but we won the 54 minor. People like Fran Ward were playing, Pat Brennan, Luke Boyle.
Father Luke was a great
dynamo.
player.
I mean, Luke Boyle played the half of that team himself.
He did. He was gifted. He was gifted.
A wonderful player.
He was.
I tell you what about Luke Boyle was, he wasn't a big stylish player, but he got that ball, nobody could get it off. He was a way to get shot, you know.
Yeah.
He was just fast. He was furious, you know. He was
Well, did we win a minor? Did we win a minor in Ballyshannon?
There was
Chandler Dawn was on the download.
Packie and them were playing in '67. They won the junior.
But I think there was two. There was a 53 team. I think made the minor final and were beaten, and then 54 is won. And then, do you remember 52 was the famous one that my father?
That was Jim Faulkner's team. That was Jim
played down in Dewey.
Which team was Jim Faulkner's, Eddie?
The 52 team.
Oh, was it? That
was Jim Faulkner's team.
That's interesting because I wondered who was the man was involved that time.
Jim Faulkner was the man.
Yeah, was it?
Jim had with a bit of depression then after that. He was in a bit of trouble after that,
Well, then, 53 team, James used to always claim you didn't get the publicity you deserved after winning in 54 because the 52 boys, They got all they got all the laurels, as my father called them, because of course they were the first to win one for 19 or 20 years or
Well,
so.
there was a minor, as far as I remember, there was a minor final, and the same year there was an All Ireland junior game, and Matty McDonough of Galway was playing in that game.
Right.
And it was played in Ballyshannon.
Yeah.
And we won a minor, I think it was minor or junior or something that same year.
Yeah.
I remember we were playing Ross's Rovers.
You think it's won it, Eddie? You think it's won that game?
Ardra won that game. Ardra won that game.
We played Ross's Rovers, Eddie, in the semi-final that year.
Maybe it was a semi-final.
And you know what happened? Ross's Rovers, you're right. You're absolutely right. It was Ballyshannon, and Ross's Rovers had won the county final from the previous year.
Yes, right. That's right. John O'Donnell was playing.
They were the 53 champions. And they just won that match. They hadn't, bit like this year, they hadn't played the county final until the following year.
And that was a semi-final.
A semi-final?
Yeah.
And you see, we were playing them in the semi-final.
That's
but
right.
They were county champions from 53. You're absolutely right.
Right.
And the reason why they were, and they only won the county championship a month before they played us. Sean O'Donnell, Ben O'Donnell, those, they were wonderful.
Ben O'Donnell was wonderful as well.
Top players, you know.
He was a fast player.
They thought they only had to come up and pick the score, pick us up, you know, because we didn't have a county minor on our team.
No.
But they didn't reckon with the speed
they were
and the forwards we had. We had a cricket score up in the first half. They couldn't catch us up in the second. They scored two goals and 3 points in the second half. But we were still that much ahead.
We were a good team that year.
You're absolutely right. That was the best game of the two.
Fran Ward was playing that day as well from Rockra.
He was absolutely right.
He was a good player, that fella.
Fran Ward was Pat Brennan.
Pat Brennan,
Yeah.
He was a big strong man.
That's right.
Strong man.
Yeah, that was a big game actually. That was
a great game.
That was the final, really. You know.
Of course,
that was the final. Yeah. Beating them was the final. Yeah.
That's right.
Did you ever train on the jump Faulkner yourself, Eddie?
No.
No, just
wondering. No, but I've done everything else with him, fishing and everything else, right?
Yeah.
No, Jim was next door. He lived next door to us.
Oh, did he?
He lived over Concar Shoppers now.
Oh, is that
right?
Was
McNeilis's. Well, Marianne McNeilis's mother.
Oh, I see.
And she was from the town. The
right.
father was from Derry.
That was a connection.
The father was from Derry.
Just wondered, and then there was a team that I was involved in myself in 1963 that played Derry and Kentucky, and then we went to Celtic Park to play them as well. I often wondered who put that competition or those games together. You know,
that was we Jimmy Dever was traveling with you.
That's right, I was, yeah.
He says, "Don't worry, boys. I know every blade of grass on it."
He says that. That's my father was. I told that story, and the last time I was on, my father and I didn't to get into a pub in Derry, and the RUC came along to see what were they do. We were in Celtic Park. Yeah.
He was cracked that boy.
So the early, you said plenty football, Eddie, those early years there, like in the 50s yourselves?
The 50s, 50. I would have started with the senior team about 56. At the end of 56, right. There were a lot of immigration that year, and the younger fellows were taken into the team.
Yeah.
You know, you had Phil Tommy and Peter Pot and all these boys. Packie McGuire and John Keeney and all.
Big Teddy.
Right team that time too. And John McGroarty up there. And they play, as they say.
And some of the McGuires.
And Packie McGroarty was another one. And Colin McGuire.
Yeah.
And Phyllis.
Those are good.
They were. Billy would have been a captain one of the years. And I remember playing Glenties in a St. Conal Cup final over in Ardra.
Yeah.
Billy was full back. Yeah. And I used to hit the frees, you see, and any odd penalty you get, but if we drew, we won the cup.
Yeah.
Glenties were leading by 9-6, and there was a couple of minutes to go.
Yeah.
And geez, we got a penalty.
Right.
And I went up and got the ball and was placing the ball for the penalty. And Billy started shouting from the back end, "I'm the captain, I'll take it. I'm the captain, I'll take it." So I was kind of half glad he did take it because it's an important kick.
Yeah.
So Billy placed the ball and took it. And
Aye.
at that time, Teddy was in the middle of the field and he was digging, it wasn't hard to get a look of swords. He was digging away swords with the heel.
Yeah.
And he had about 5 or 6 of the swords in his hand.
Hmm.
And Billy missed the penalty, but the ball wide.
Oh my God.
And Teddy was after him down the whole field. "You must take that bang." Oh.
He's throwing the swords at him.
He had him with about 2 or 3 of them going down the field. Both teams were laughing at the whole time.
Lord Eddie, I was wondering, I mean, I remember you taking penalties like, and there's no doubt the net would have, if there had been a net there, it would have busted. Fierce, powerful. How did you get out of that hard shot that you had? I mean,
It was a big heavy ball that time.
Seen you in training even.
Big heavy ball.
The big leather ball, whacking it. You know?
I used to be able to fish over an odd 50 that time.
You used to wear a berry too, didn't you?
I wear the berry. 7 James McGinley. James are the same.
And then the 2 years would be competing in the running sometimes too.
We used to do all the running. Done a lot of
meters. Both of you were very fast.
We used to Packie McGinley was fast. Packie and James myself, we went away to any tournament, any athletics was on about the place, you know. Yeah. You would go around Kilcar and Carrick and these places, Donegal town, and that. Packie would be first in the 100 meters, and James would be second, and I would be third.
Is that right?
But it was 200 meters, I would win it hands down. Packie wouldn't run on, James would run, but I used to stick it a wee bit better that day. But James with Packie were very fast.
Very good.
They were fast.
That's why your own sons were fast.
They were good crack. They were good crack. But they always used to say about Phil Tommy, stay out of his road because he's colourblind. You know, Phil would just, once Phil seen the ball, if you were trying to lift it, he would clean you out of it.
He didn't see nothing, only the ball.
He was a good old player too, tough old player.
I remember him, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Who was it? Charlie Bennett used to say, God rest him, that Phil would come down the town in the evening after the match, he'd be limping, you know.
I'm limping every game after. No one's because a fellow hadn't get hit or anything else. He was still limping after every game, and then he'd be leaning on them. No, there's.
It's funny.
You used to go down to the Kentucky there, and you would have 7 over from Kentucky there. The 3 McGinleys, the 3 Bennetts, and Phil Tommy, you would have 7 over and over again. Every evening we were training.
That's what.
We had no training that time back. It was kicking in, kicking out.
That's all the training was.
No running, no nothing.
No. And it was Kentucky that just did that training then.
That's right, Kentucky. You would have Ned Rourke out with you as well. Ned would be in the goals in that time. Loved to be playing.
Yes, he was great.
I remember one game down there, and Ned was in the goals, and well, we were winning well. We were playing against Glenties again, and at that time we were a better team. But Ned would be in the goals, and the next thing, Glenties got a goal.
Yeah.
Ned says to me, geez, you done me, Eddie. You had it easy. He was diving the wrong way.
We went to Process one day, Eddie, you know, to talking about Ned Road. Yeah, we went to Process one day. We was playing in the sports. Doan and Process were playing, or Doan and St. Knowles. Yeah. And Ned was in goals for Process. For Process transfer, you know.
He loved to be playing.
We were all behind the goals. And anyway, the two Fitzgeralds were playing, the musicians, you know.
Yeah.
Richie Fitzgerald was
But
playing
those,
centre field
Arnie.
by the goal. And anyway, one of the Bundoran lads kicked the ball forward. There were no great football between the two sides.
Yeah.
But Bundoran came forward anyway at this point and made two passes. And about, I would say, 40 yards out, there was nobody around. He kicked the ball towards the goals.
Yeah.
And Ed was running over and back the goals. Plenty of time, you know, to be in the right place. But the ball was
In the
coming,
right place.
bouncing over the, hitting an odd bump and coming in.
Yeah.
And Ned dived and missed it. Went past him.
Sure you go.
He couldn't believe it. It took nearly 3 minutes for the ball to come in, you know.
Right.
I was more laughing than the goals.
This is the sport that time. I should think you'd be short of a player or two that time. We were immigration and everything else took them away in those years. Paddy first class would be taken on then. There were the trousers pulled over, the stockings pulled over the trousers and play away.
That's right.
He mightn't get a ball, but it was the number 15.
He used to kick it over his shoulder when he was in front of the goals. You know, where he's trying to point with his back to the goals.
But he would not bother getting them into play.
You never emigrated, Eddie?
Huh?
You never emigrated yourself?
No, I never emigrated, no.
Well, you did, I suppose, from Belfast to Donegal.
Belfast was the furthest I went to. You used to get a train in Glentish, and you get off the train in Balbrafane on Stranorler, and then you had another train on to Strabane. 3 trains to get to Belfast.
Oh, imagine.
3 different trains.
Sure, Big Paddy used to talk about when he was playing Tyrone. They would come as far as Lifford on the train. Then they would stay in Coneyborough Hotel. Here, there's a wee hotel just beside where the inter-county was. And then they would travel then the next day then to the match on another train.
Yeah.
Then they come back then and stay in Lifford again, and then they'll be up on the early train back to Ardra and, you know, Gladys and back to school in the morning, you know. So it was amazing times for the county players.
I have a photograph there that you're talking about Sullivan. Sullivan was on it. He was a guard down Strands at that stage, James.
Yeah.
And Paddy Pendergast and them. That photograph here.
Aye, that's right. That's I saw that picture up there recently. That was very good there, Paddy Pendergast.
Yeah. I remember him playing a game in Glentish. We got beat that day, all right, but he was a great player.
Aye.
I
was reading a very interesting thing. I pulled out the book there today, and I came across. You remember the opening of the Ardra pitch? Was 37, was it? Official opening, I think. Mayo came over and played.
Mayo were playing certainly.
Brought over their team.
What year was that?
I think it was 37. I took a note of it.
37.
Wherever I left it, Eddie.
Yeah, I were in that year.
Of course, it was an interesting time now. I don't know where I left it now. 39 was the official opening. Aye.
The official opening.
39. In Donegal, Mayo, just wrote it down.
Yeah.
And there was a man, the captain of the Mayo team was Paddy Mokler. And he was over and he did a lot of speaking on behalf of Mayo, and he claimed to have the time ever in Ardra. But I got to know Paddy Mokler in Ballina when I was over there working in the 1960s, and I didn't know it. And he owned a pub there, and I used to go in there with Willie Casey, the great Willie Casey, and John Nealon that played for Mayo. We were all on a team.
Good namely fellas,
Fitzgerald Street team, and PJ Downey. Paddy Mokler, I didn't drink at the time, and you could never get buying a drink for anybody if you weren't a drinker yourself. But I felt kind of guilty every night being in there and not buying a drink for the boys. It was up for me, and I sneaked them a 10 shilling note right, to go off and get a drink for the boys, and he took it with him. And I thought, past that, anyhow, at least I got buying them one drink, you know. So he served up the drink, and about half an hour later, he just came around from behind me and he pushed the 10 shilling note
back again.
My breast pocket again. And he moved clear. And his name there, he was Nardra, and he spoke before the game and after the game, and there was a Kelly, and there was and all that stuff, you know. But interesting times, you know.
Interesting times, sure to God. Funny and Maxwell have been playing them years, would say.
Aye, that's right.
And Maxwell.
Aye. Lord. Ardra had a lot of people represented on the county team way back then.
Oh, indeed they had.
Aye.
Indeed they had.
Off and on. Like.
On and off. In them years, the 50s, the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
Maxwell, Tom Goddard, geez, them boys all. I have a couple of old photographs of them there. You're talking about Tom Gollard and all them fellas.
Yeah.
Aye. Eddie John was another man who was a great bull player.
Eddie John was brilliant.
And like he was finished when he came to Ardra, but he still was a good player for Ardra.
Still was scoring a couple of goals per match.
Oh, he's all the time.
He could get turned, and if he could get swing in the leg, the ball was in the net.
Once he got the ball, you were going to get a free or something. He was going to slip through with the ball.
That's right.
I remember playing Kilcar one day there, and Jesus, we were winning well. Yeah. And I was hitting the frees, and Eddie John was getting free after free. He was being pulped down or being pushed or something. But I had 3 or 4 points got with just put them over the bar. And Eddie said, stop kicking over the bar. Hit her low. There's a wetty stay, you know. Hit her low. He says, and I'll be punching in. As true as God, Eddie got 4 goals that day.
Is that right?
I hit the balls low, any freezes were coming, and Eddie was pouncing in on it.
He had a brilliant punch, hadn't he?
You couldn't stop him. He got 4 goals, so he did.
It was a good player.
That would have been about 57 or 58.
Yeah, he was a lovely man too. He used to give me a lift.
Oh, he was there. He was there for every game.
Aye. Yeah.
He was there for every game.
I'm in the Volkswagen.
Aye, the Volkswagen.
Good one, yeah. So what other heroes have Ardra at that time, Eddie? What were the people, what other players did you think were your idols at that time when you were on the bench?
There came a fella, Jim Connors. In 1957, he was a guard from Ballina. He was from Ballina. And Jim Connors came there that year. He was as good a player as you could ask to play with.
That's right. He wasn't that big for a guard.
He wasn't a big, tall man or nothing, but by God, he could play football. And he was anxious to play for it. Dunlow got him transferred over there then.
He did. And I
That's
remember...
because you're a player.
There was an English fella who used to come to the Sports in Yarn, or I suppose he was there on holiday at that time. He was a great high jumper, and he used to win it most years.
Yeah.
It was a great the jump off between him and Jim Connors. Jim gave him a real run for his money.
At the high jump?
Out at the high jump, out on the strand, you know.
Out on the strand. We always used to go to the Father McGorty Sports that time.
Yeah, we all had the 7 aside, you know.
Yeah. Jim was a fit man, very fit.
He became a
he became an inspector then.
That's right.
He was transferred then from Dunlow to Dublin. He came back one night there in late years. He came back. He's dead like for a good while now. But he was buried in Bundoran.
Yeah.
He came back and he made arrangements to come in to see me one night. And himself and Mick McCall and McHugh Glentis. He was a detective of that type, Paddy McHugh.
Oh, right.
They spent more.
Yeah.
If Anders was nothing, only football.
Jim was he was not a kid for a while too.
He died a young man too. He did. Cancer.
He was a good fielder of the ball, Eddie.
Yeah. He was a good fielder. He was a good fielder of the ball.
I played against him a couple of times in Dunroe now. And I tell you, you'd be up with him and he'd have that ball along with you. If you managed, even if you thought you had it, he'd have his hands around it.
He was
excellent.
A good
rise, you know, off the floor. Yeah.
When he came to Yarn first or to Clooney, he landed off the bus with a wee plastic bag with him, football shoes. Just the rig was on it, nothing else.
Is that right?
Just the football shoes, no case, no nothing.
Man, dear.
Donald should tell that about him.
Did you see Paddy Prendergast playing for Ardra?
Huh?
Did you see Paddy Prendergast playing for Ardra?
Yeah.
You
Aye.
did? Aye.
Oh, did I?
Aye, full back.
Full back. Aye. Yeah, full back. John the Saddler, good old goalie too at his time, and then he would be full back then for when he moved out in later years when we were. Then John would be out. If you pass that line, you'll go out in a wooden box. He would mark out the line, whoever's going in full forward.
That's your favourite saying.
That time they used to be eight. That time they used to be 8 for the throw in at them sent to the field that time.
That's right. That's right.
And the forwards then would run and John would go, Mark, if you come in past that line, you'll go out in a wooden box.
Yeah.
I was throwing fine. George played every time he came home from America. He would come out to get
I played in New York, that's right.
Aye, that's right. Yes, it was. Aye.
Great man, great Ardra man.
Oh, sound.
James, I remember you talking. Sorry, Eddie, I'm putting across.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying to James there that there was a story. I remember you telling me one time about just where at Dublin in the game you had to pick up the Dan Ward Cup. Was it the Dan Ward Cup? You picked it up on some jewelers.
Dublin.
You remember anything about that?
Yeah, we were up with them at that time in Dublin.
Right.
Vincent would have been up that year. But in fairness, we weren't connected, with the actual collecting of the cup, But
we're up at the time.
It was a special event, really. There was a big match on. We went up for the game too.
Yeah.
I can't remember much about the game, but we had Joe Larry was our man. Joe took a carload of us up.
Right.
Yeah, he did indeed. That used to be a special event. You're up and down around Drumcondra, and Joe looked after everybody. Everything was spot on, Yeah.
Oh, Joe, look after you. You're the routes. You're a sound man, Joe. Taking the travel. Yeah.
I mean, you'd go anywhere with Joe Larry because you knew that there'd be no messing,
Right.
There'd be no messing. No, there'd be no
as it
messing.
should be. Yeah.
Be looked after.
There was one year we were coming back from Dublin, and somebody bought something like a stink bomb, Eddie, in one of the shops. And they were messing around in the car with it.
Aye.
Joe stopped the car somewhere out about Meath, and he offered them to walk home unless this thing was handed over.
Well, that'll be him. That'll be Joe.
That was it, and it was handed over. Nobody was going to walk home from Navan, I think,
No, nobody wanted to walk home. Out would come the load.
Yeah, but no, he was brilliant like that. You knew you were going to be safe, and everything was spot on, and time it was. Hugh O'Donnell was another great player.
I was.
Hugh O'Donnell, you made everything look so easy.
The best Michael, my brother, played midfield with him for John.
He did. Michael was class.
Michael said he was. Hugh was class.
Oh no, you'd hardly get beaten, Michael himself.
Michael was very young when he was.
He was a good player.
I was talking to Big Paddy about Hugh O'Donnell, Eddie. You might have heard this description of Hugh O'Donnell. He had a special knack of kicking a ball. Hugh had. Big Paddy McGill now, hope he's happy. He was telling us about. I always suspected when Hugh had a ball, it was like he had a hinge on his knee,
Yeah.
That ball went straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
And if he was hitting it low, it was unstoppable virtually, And he said that only one other player in Donegal, he was in Bundone, Big Paddy Brenton, had this gift that Hugh O'Donnell had.
Yeah.
Now, of course, his father was a special kicker of a ball.
I think John O'Donnell was
it was said at one time that John O'Donnell kicked the longest kick in Croke Park.
Yeah.
It went out into the railway end.
Yeah.
Over the bar. But Hugh had that knack. Yeah.
Hugh had the knack, guy.
Yeah. I remember one day in our draw. You remember we had a very one-sided game one day. Dan Bono was playing full back, and there was about a 60-mile-an-hour gale.
Aye.
And we didn't have a great side, but obviously in them days, Dunlow were nearly always in the semi-final or quarter-final.
They were.
And we just
they
had
were.
to play in matches.
Yeah.
And Hugh O'Donnell was playing that day. And myself and Hugh were playing half forward somewhere.
In the half forward lane.
And we didn't score at all with the breeze.
Yeah.
In the first half, gives you some idea of the side we had. And Dunlow were about 6 points ahead when they came out, even against the wind.
Yes.
Dan Bonner kicked out a ball that day, and it went straight up in the air, and it spun round a few times and landed at his feet again.
Yeah.
That's where the breeze was.
There were strong
In the
breeze.
second half, Hugh O'Donnell collected the ball way around the midfield. And he soloed right, left, through everybody. And he hit that ball from about 10 yards out. And Packie Boyle was in goals at the time. You remember?
Packie.
Packie managed to get his hands to it and just parried it out. And I was running on Hugh's shoulder. And it just got my fist high enough to pull it back in again.
Put it back in.
And it went into the net, you know. But that was the only score we got. But if we had a few Hugh O'Donnells, I think would have been in with a chance, you know.
Aye. Hugh, he made everything look so easy.
Yeah.
The only other fella I've ever seen like playing, and that'll be lucky years before, there was Tom Wickham.
I heard lots of
He was brilliant.
I remember Frankie Ben talking about him, how brilliant he was.
He was much the same kind of player, Hugh O'Donnell. He was big tall lad, and everything looked in slow motion, but he done it all just, you know.
That's right. Hugh O'Donnell didn't go down fast.
No roughness.
His timing was so good.
The timing.
He was letting people run past him and run sideways.
Yeah.
Still going through them.
You're still going through them.
It was amazing.
Hugh O'Donnell was gifted like that. But the one Wickham was the only man that I've seen was like equal to him in that line.
They're the same.
They used to come down. They used to come on a motorbike from Killybegs. The two of them to McGettrick and Wickham. They were two good players that time. Are that some team that time?
Oh, they were a big side.
And
that was about the last big team they had.
That's the last big team.
Yes, you're right.
We're talking about. I have a photograph there in Pendergast, and it's marked 1950. So then you're talking about 1551. They played Killybegs. They joined Killybegs in the following year or something.
Them two were keen, you know, they never missed a match, you know. They
never missed a match. They were there. They came on that motorbike all the time.
They were.
Every Sunday there was a game on. But those years you hadn't as many games as you had now, James.
No, that's true.
Even in my time, all we had was a dozen games for the whole.
Aye, lots of games. That's all you had.
And if there was a one and
two Cup final and that kind of stuff.
Senior League. I remember one year we played 9 games for the whole 52.
Well, that's about it. You were lucky to get the 9 games.
Then they started the double Senior League and stuff like that. Because you're not developed.
Michael Boyle was a nice player too.
He was, yeah.
Michael Boyle was a good player.
He was a very easygoing player. The funny thing, I got my first chance to play on a senior team. Phil Tommy went off. About 15 minutes before the game ended.
Usual thing for Phil.
And I was playing behind Michael Boyle. He was halfback. And it couldn't be easier. If I caught anything and threw it out to Michael, it was gone, you know. It was very young for the time, but Michael, and a very kind of complimentary type of fella. You know, if you done anything at all, you were doing great, you know. Great and active with players around them. You know.
There were a big fella playing for Glen. He went to Sheridan. He was a pension officer. Tom Sheridan. And he was a huge, always he could be 6'5", you know, and Jesus, the strength of him and everything else.
Was he from Leitrim? Leitrim fellow, was he?
I think he might have been from Leitrim.
I remember him. Yeah.
Aye. He died a young man too, but he was a pension officer. I remember working with Lloyds and he would come down around the men and that, checking on things and all that kind of stuff. But he was a good enough out player, and Glenties hadn't that good a team. He was about the best on the Glenties team at that time.
Right.
And Terry would say after the game would be over, you'd have had to get another couple of minutes, I'd have him sized up. You run for the hour.
Yeah.
David would always say, had him you Doherty and I'll catch her. We had a good catch today.
Yeah. You know, without the wee bit of craft, it's funny, I was in Kilkenny one time working down there, and happened to get Pat Henderson was working with us, so we used to get sometimes in amongst the players sometimes.
Yeah.
And one of the top players at the time was around about the middle of 60s. He was chatting about what it took to win All Irelands, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, you have to be good. He said, you have to be trained, you have to be skilled, and you have to be fit.
Yeah.
But he said, yeah, top of all that, you have to have a bit of devilment. You have to have a bit of devilment, he said.
You have to have the devilment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Devilment
gets the game for you. You need a wee bit of craft, a wee bit of, as they say, gamesmanship, you know, as they say. You know. And that's what that was about.
The devilment had to be there.
If it wasn't there, you couldn't get you couldn't get there to the top, you know. By the time you just weren't going to win it.
We had many to row, we row that time, but we never be sent off or not. No, you never sent off. They say they had no cards that time.
Nobody was moving. Yeah.
Aye. Willie Cunningham then was a good player too. Willie Cunningham
was indeed. A very good player.
I remember himself.
He played midfield for the county back in the.
Himself in 1955, I think it was.
Around that time.
They played. Himself and Brennan were centre field.
They were. That's right.
Aye. And I think it was 55.
He was quite young at the time. I think he was early 20s, maybe about.
Willie would have been a good bit younger than Brennan at that stage. I think
he was. That's right.
Brennan would always say to me, "Pass her to me, Doherty. I'm 10 years older than you."
It's funny you talk about the kind of. I lived in the house in England one time in London with them, you know, and Andy was a very good player, you know.
He was big strong man.
Andy was the agent. He was the top man for Murphy at the time, and you know the Killybegs and our draw lads all playing, all working with him, you know.
Yeah, sure.
One day Andy came round and they had the long jump. Now, the boys were not a lot to do, so they had a long jump set up, and various pegs set around the site. And Andy comes down and gets out of the big car, you know. What's that there? That's the long jump. and you know, he kept a straight face the whole time and didn't say a word, you know.
Didn't say nothing.
And went along with it all, you know. He was an actor as well, you know.
Oh, he was an actor as well.
He was.
Nice man on doing it. But usually we're afraid of him in the football field. He was that.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd stay clear. You'd stay clear.
Well. Yeah, he was.
I remember Wally playing against. We were playing against Duncan Hill. Wally was playing. And he was going up along the sideline. He was soloing, and I run over straight and put him in over the sideline. And at the same time, I kind of went down, and I went down one knee. And the next thing I got the left in the bottom. I didn't bother falling him out the field anyway.
That was part of the development, I think.
That was part of the development.
Yeah.
I would only been young enough to minor them years.
Strong man.
There were no cards or no nothing. You weren't sent off.
No, indeed, you're right. Yeah.
That's right. It was just lively.
Great to talk, guys. I see we're coming up on our hour, and we'll soon have to.
You get fed up listening to yourself. There's a bit of crack anyway.
Our slots that we're doing.
There's a bit of crack.
It's just amazing that tomorrow it's 100 years.
Tomorrow's 100 years.
100 years. You know, there's a celebration on the field.
Some life.
Yeah, but the club has played a great part in the community in Ardra, and all the stories and memories for everybody.
I had an uncle who Eddie Doherty, and he was injured on training.
Right.
Way back in the South in Glencoe, they were training.
Yeah.
And he was doing tying his shoes, lacings, and as he was doing it, the ball came along, and the two fellas after the ball, and one of them made a drive at the ball, and came off side and hit him over the eye.
Oh Lord.
And he was, well, he was concussed, like, there was no word of concussion that year.
That's right.
He lived for about 2 weeks after it.
Oh my God.
There was 19, he was 21 or 1923.
Oh boys.
That's one of them things just done. But if it's now like concussion and everything,
he won't be taken away in the X-ray and everything.
That is way.
That was only 2 years after the club started.
Accidentally.
Oh,
that is it.
Great administrators. I remember picking up John, picking up Dan Ward in the back road there, and we would have come from John McGillis with the bag of sawdust.
You're Dan.
Yeah, going down the back before the match, and then Dan.
I can remember one time my grandmother died in 1955.
Right.
And I think it was 55. And she was buried the day we were to play Glenties in a county semi-final, in the divisional final. It was divisional at that time. And I thought I wasn't going to get playing with. She was just buried that day, and Dan came into the house to see would I let play. And overall, says Granny would want to see him playing. that was enough. That was enough.
You got your game.
Teddy myself put him into the coffin over in Glenties.
Oh, did you?
1958.
He was a big man.
James Neddy went over with the hatchback. That was no hearses, no nothing that time. And, oh, Jesus, he was a heavy man.
He was a big man.
He was waked in the greenhouse.
Is that
he was only 42 or something.
That's all he was at that time.
I think he's 42.
Yeah, administrator.
What he was.
They always used to talk when we were going to Dunlow, down when we'd see the rocks up on the hill, a lot of rocks. And Dan Ward used to say, "Look at that. That's the crop that never fails."
Crop that never fails. Never fails. It's always there.
They're still there. Well, Eddie, it's great to see you in such good form. I need the young brother there. He's in good shape too. Is there?
Nice to talk to you, James and Packie.
Taking it well. And
well, if you have the health of the whole thing, and that's just from day to day.
That's the bottom line.
That's just the whole thing.
Well, with that, we'll wish the club another 100 years. No problem.
Wish the club another 100 years.
And
absolutely.
Wish you men many more years too, of good health and enjoyment. And
thanks, Peg. Thanks. Both you two, with the 2 years as well.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
No bother.